And we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of WunderGraph AMA, where we go and we meet very interesting people building amazing things, as well as entrepreneurs, developers from all over the world. This week we had Ralph scheduled. He had to cancel last minute due to some family issues, but no problem. We have a very successful Audible in here, which is Eelco. You guys have maybe seen Eelco in our Discord, but Eelco went from IndieHacker to a full-blown exit to starting another startup and then joining us as one of the founding engineers of WunderGraph. Welcome, Yoko. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Thanks. Thanks for having me. Finally.
Of course. Finally, you're right. You're right. So me and Yoko have been trying to find a time to plan, but we finally got him on the cast. So super excited to have you here, Yoko.
Thanks. Yeah, likewise.
Awesome. And so Ilko's, you've done a lot. And Ilko's a very fascinating person to know because he built a startup, he exited that startup, and then he jumped immediately into another startup and at the same time joined another startup at the same time. Ilko, like,
Almost immediately.
okay, almost immediately. Give us a little rundown. So, like, give me some of your background with the first startup and then we can go from there.
um, yeah, shall I just tell the story how we started and the whole process, or?
Oh, these are comments, by the way, so they'll just pop up there from
Oh, okay, cool.
people watching.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I've been freelancing for a long time. That's how I started my career as well as a freelancer, and I've mainly focused on SMB, building B2B apps, and I really loved UI. And yeah, after about 8 years, I think I was kind of fed up with always building stuff for other people and not being able to build something that I envisioned myself. So with another colleague of mine, we decided to start some ideas and start bootstrapping basically. And yeah, after some failures and trying some ideas that were very idealistic, but we couldn't find any monetization or yeah, different kinds of struggles, we finally came out to Belco, which was at the time my co-founder had a lot of experience with e-commerce, and we had this idea to connect data with telephony, with voice,
Okay.
and yeah, relative to e-commerce. So what we wanted to achieve is when somebody calls, we could check the number in the database and then pull out all the information about this person. Hi, Jens.
Unbelievable.
And
You should be here. Unbelievable, this guy.
yeah, where are you?
It's I don't know. CEO, he just does his rules,
Yeah.
whatever. Typical. But continue. Tell me about Bielko.
Yeah. So where was I? Yeah. So we pull out the data from the database, and yeah, you can see. Oh, this is Stefan. He bought some new Gucci bags, and for his girlfriend, or fiance. Sorry. And yeah, that slowly turned out to like a full blown all in one customer service tool that we completely built from scratch. And yeah, that was a massive challenge, and it took much longer than we imagined. Like we thought, 2 or 3 years, and we will have enough revenue, and we can quit freelancing and live from our own business. But yeah, that didn't turn out to be like that.
Yeah.
So it took around 5 years, I think, that things started turning around, and the revenue was really growing a lot, and um, we were getting bigger customers, we were getting more and more scaling issues, and all these kind of things that you get when you're growing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then after, I don't know, a few years later, for me, I don't know, I didn't want to. We had to scale up, and I yeah, I didn't want to run a team. I thought it was a good moment for an exit, so I wanted to go for an exit, and my co-founder thought it was a good idea as well initially, but then yeah, after thinking about it, he thought no, it's like he was much more connected to the product than I was. I find e-commerce really not interesting. I found building the product and thinking about user problems. I find this interesting, but the product in itself wasn't my passion, and like for me, it was just better with the whole situation at the time to go for an exit. And then yeah, we found a company that bought, yeah, I don't know, bought me out basically. I kept some shares, and that's why I split parts, and I took some time to really think deeply what I wanted to do in the future.
I
That's
love
kind
that.
of the story of the startup, my
It-
first real startup.
Most people don't understand, and I think this is funny because I met a guy here. I was at like a pool party, and he's like, "Yeah, like me and my friend, we're building this app. The code's gonna be done in 6 months." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "We're expecting thousands of users, and like
Yeah.
like I'm gonna sell the shares as soon as we get like a million users." And like in my head, I told him very nicely. I was like, "If you're not gonna do a startup for a minimum 10 years, like you shouldn't even do it." And he took offense to that. And my girlfriend was like, Steph, you can't be that honest with people. But like, I like what you said. Like, you didn't expect it. And then before you know it, it's already 5 years and now revenue is starting to come in.
Mhm.
It really tells you like a startup isn't just build this and millions of users come. It's not
Yeah.
threads. You don't have billions of people using us already, but this
Yeah.
is something from the ground up. And so this product, is your co-founder still working on it? Or did he exit eventually as well?
No, he's like, yeah, like I said, he really loved the business, and he's just running the business now. And it's not a startup now; it's real business. And that was kind of the moment where it was not interesting for me as well. I like building startups and the excitement of this, and I don't having to think about all these different things and uh, getting to some point where things starting to work. I like this process, and once I have to manage people and do business things, yeah, that's not for me. So
Oh,
I think he's very happy. He's doing very well, I think. So yeah,
well, you're in the right place because that's exactly where we are. Eelco. Oh, this is a funny comment.
I like exactly.
Lego sets without the
You're
instruction.
on point. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you exited. They bought out your shares, and then what? Was it like every dream? You sign the contract, and you're like, I'm free, or is it like, what am I
It
gonna
was
do?
absolutely an amazing feeling. I didn't make enough yet to retire, unfortunately, but uh, yeah, this the feeling of this freedom and not having to do anything for some time. It was amazing. Like, so definitely the financial freedom idea I had for the future is still very important for me, and I'm really happy that I tasted a little bit of this. And yeah, then during building this startup, we ran into a lot of problems, and I saw a lot of patterns and things, and so I had a lot of new ideas that I wanted to build, and I thought I can build this to help other people to build SaaS products faster, better, and whatnot. And yeah, I actually started a product uh, called Apple's Connect, and what I wanted to do is make not really a no-code tool, but a platform that makes it easy to integrate third-party SaaS APIs. Like a lot of our product was integrations. We had integration with Twilio, Facebook, Telegram, all these platforms, and I had to manage all these integrations. I had to keep them up to date. I had to build new integrations. Yeah, it was a lot of work, and I wanted to build a no-code tool for SaaS products to integrate third-party APIs and make it very easy to build integrations.
Very cool.
Um,
And
but
was this before Saas.ui or?
yeah, it was before.
Okay, just so I get
Yeah,
my timeline right.
but yeah, after having this exit and thinking about it, like, well, yeah, I really had a lot of on my shoulders in this company, and like everything was in my brain. The whole product, I built literally everything. I built myself
Wow,
from A to Z, and I didn't want to get into this situation again. So I decided, instead of building this product, I took a year off basically,
nice.
and to slowly start thinking about what's next. And yeah, then after some months, I thought, I just dawned on me, like, I can build a SaaS without building a SaaS. And that's where I started thinking, I will just build a boilerplate and a UI library that kind of solves a small part of the issues that I ran into, and it's something I'm really passionate about. So that's where Saas.ui started.
Let me just post that so the viewers can see. And so it's actually very typical. And here's a question from David, our team intern. So, Ilko, why is your favorite colleague, and why is it David? But we can answer that later.
I like David's cat pics.
That's true. That's true. And so, I've spoken with a lot of founders and they do the exact same thing. So they exit and they're like, you know what, I'm going to take some time off, usually a year. And even before a year is over, they're like, I want to jump back in. And so
Yeah.
with Saas.ui, what was it that drove you to get into it? Like from the idea to actually sitting in front of your computer and start building it out?
What drove me is that couldn't retire yet, so I had to create new revenue streams, and I wanted to do something that I really love to do. That's really important for me. I really set one goal. I want only work with people that I really like, and work on stuff that I really believe in. That was my main goal. And so yeah, this is something I'm really passionate about. I love interaction design. I love thinking about how things work. I love UI, and so it was just a natural thing to do. And I saw a good business opportunity in this as well. And it was part of my bigger vision for this Apple's Connect platform. So I thought I can start this, and maybe later I will build this platform anyway. Yeah, that's kind of how it started, and it turned out to work out very well. I was like within 6 months, I was ramen profitable. I didn't need to work a lot and had plenty of income to continue on this, and yeah, it was awesome.
I mean, it sounds awesome. So you built out this company with your co-founder, Belko, or the company's called Belko, not the co-founder. You build it out, you exit, you say I'm going to take a year off, you start building out SaaS UI. In 6 months, you're profitable. How did you end up in WunderGraph? Like, what were you doing to find your way somehow in our tiny little niche community?
Yeah, that's a cool story actually. I think so. Um, yeah, around I think yeah, it was about 1 year ago. I started thinking about maybe I should build this platform anyway. Like I wanted to build other SaaS products, and I needed this tool to rapidly build new products on top of existing APIs. And so I couldn't sleep, and I was thinking about this all the night. And the next day, I talked with a friend of mine. I explained my idea again. I want to build this, and he said, "Oh, look at this! This is up on Hacker News," and it was WunderGraph. So
Like,
I saw the homepage, and my mind was blown. I think, wow, this is exactly what I need to build my product, and it's much better than I had envisioned. And I directly went on Discord, and then there I met Jens, and yeah, we just kept talking, and pretty soon Jens also said you should join our team, and so things got started rolling.
no, I love
It
that.
was like complete coincidence and everything in the right moment, I guess.
Yeah, it was a little bit of fate, you know. You were meant to come and join us, and so I think Jens told me this, but you were in Germany, and we'll get to this more about like your van and how you travel around
Hmm.
Europe. But you were in Germany, and you actually stopped by Jens's before you joined us for a cup. Was a most likely a beer because he's German. But you stopped by for a beer, and he convinced you in person. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was for a wedding in France
Mhm.
with my camper van, and actually turned out to be very close to where Jens lives. And yeah, I just decided to head over and to meet them in person and to talk about it. And yeah, we had some good German beers and some good conversations. And yeah, that's actually the moment I started working for WunderGraph, I think. Yeah.
I love that. And speaking of German beers, so Wondergraph and the team, Eelco was there. We were on a retreat in Amsterdam. Or no, we were in Holland. I forget the name of the town, but after we said goodbye to everyone and we left, we drove about 20 minutes before Dustin, one of our co-founders and tech lead, realized we forgot the beer. I have never seen anyone do a 360 faster in my life. We drove 20 minutes the wrong way, or the away from or what would we call the compound. We drove
Yeah.
20 minutes back. Yeah, this is the name of it, Edenhoven. We drove 20 minutes back, and Dustin put all the beer in the container, and he's like, "Okay, now we can leave." I could not believe it, but I thought it was.
I haven't heard the story yet. Okay.
He's like, "Yeah, no, we forgot the beer," and I thought it was maybe a couple. I thought it was a couple beers, but no, we
Yeah.
actually left a decent amount of beer. So I'm kind of glad that we went back, and then Dustin just kept.
I took a crate with some beers as well. I still have it here, but that's great.
I'm actually kind of surprised. I thought that we would actually drink through them all, but
We had a lot.
yeah, decent amount. But okay, cool. So you finally joined WunderGraph, and what was the transition going from consulting and freelancing to startup founder to back to, you know, being exited and starting your own company, and then now doing it at the same time with WunderGraph? Like, what pushed you over the edge to join us? I know you're very mission driven, but like, what was it that pushed you?
Different things, I think. Yeah. So what pushed me is it was really a difficult decision because I always wanted to be like, I always freelanced from the start. Like from when I was 18, I've been freelancing. I never had like a fixed contract or whatever, or joined another company. So that was a difficult choice for me, but the reasons were really good, I think. And so one part, of course, is that I really saw WunderGraph in the big picture of some tools that I wanted to build, and I just want to be part of the success of WunderGraph to make all of this happen, because yeah, I see it fit in with my vision, which is really important. And yeah, I met Jens. I really liked his philosophy about building business, and he's very generous, and his vision I really love as well. So that was a big part of the decision making. And yeah, the first retreat where I met the whole team, that was like the turning point. I thought, okay, yeah, I definitely really missed this in my previous company, where I was the only developer and everything was on my shoulders, and it was tough. And that was actually, looking back, that was maybe a mistake of me. We should have hired somebody to replace me sooner. Maybe I would have stuck along longer. I'm not sure, but if I would do it again, I would hire people sooner.
Yeah,
and for me, the team was important. Yeah, for sure.
and with the founders, we all agree, and we always talk about this. Like, so we didn't use any headhunters. We didn't use anyone to go and find us. We built out the first 10, 15 people by ourselves. And it's crazy, from all walks of life, all countries different, like the team that we found. And I agree with you. And I think I remember this quote or what you said in Mallorca, where you told your mom that you were working for a company, and she was relieved because for 20 years you've been doing your own thing by yourself. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows what I'm doing or where I am, or like they have no idea. So it felt for them like kind of stability in my life.
Which is, it's funny because it's a startup, so they're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, at least it's stable, and you're just like, well, it's still a startup, you know?
yeah, doesn't change a lot.
Okay, I love that. And so, vision, very important to you. And speaking of vision, where do you see WunderGraph going? So, you know, this connecting with APIs and integrations, where do you see the grand vision of where you and the team and the technical team can take WunderGraph to be?
Oh, I don't know. Like 10 years ago, I was interviewed as well. I forget where it was, like for a newspaper or something. And then I envisioned a future where everything was APIs, and the only thing we had to do is connect APIs to build new products. So this is kind of where I see WunderGraph going. Like WunderGraph will be the API of the APIs, and you can connect any data and build products on top and get different data out. And now even with AI, I can see even that even becoming more popular. Like you can use agents to build products and aggregate data, and you need something that connects everything together, and that's kind of where I see WunderGraph.
I love that. And so, speaking of AI, for those of you that don't know, I was a software engineer for like 2 years. The team always jokes around like, how was I a software engineer? To be honest, that's something that we'll answer down the road, probably in an AMA with myself. But describe to me these agents, because I can see the potential behind it, but I don't get as excited about it because I quite still don't understand the concept. Jens just did a really cool demo on, he showed us this morning, where he fed it a website and it gave him all the links. It gave him the description. It gave him everything that a web scraping tool could do. Yeah, exactly. Jens said software engineer. You
Yeah.
have to be surprised, but like, what is the potential behind these WunderGraph agents that Regans will be
Well,
released very soon.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, but you can see it as like right now, maybe like a junior software engineer as a service.
I like that.
And these skills, you can get really cheaply extra hands to build something. And these agents can also instruct each other to do stuff. So, I mean, the potential and the possibilities are kind of endless. And it's like, yeah. Uh, I don't know where it exactly will go, but I can see something like you can just give an instruction. I have this problem, and instead of paying money for some SaaS product to solve the problem for your business,
Mhm.
these agents just build a solution for your specific use case. You don't need SaaS products anymore. You have your own custom built SaaS product built by AI that runs somewhere in the cloud, and maybe it's all connected by WunderGraph. I don't know, but
Amazing. I mean, the potential's there. So, transitioning from AI, you went from startup founder to Saas.ui to WunderGraph, but you're still doing Saas.ui. And one question I'm always concerned about is like, how do you not get burnt out? Like how do you manage working at a growing startup, which is fires all the time, things are moving, and then working on your own startup at the same time? How do you manage this?
I have to say it's pretty hard, and I'm kind of doing the opposite that I set out to do with my previous company, which is working as little as possible.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But yeah, I mean, this goes back to the vision and the team. I really enjoy working with the team, and also I'm really motivated by the future right now. And I think my personal motivations have changed also in the recent years a bit. My energy has changed, and I really enjoy the work I do right now. So that definitely keeps it going. But it's not the long term plan to do everything at the same time. That's not really sustainable.
I love that. I'm sorry, somebody just messaged me on WhatsApp. Let me turn that down. And then it's interesting. So mission driven, you're doing all these things at the same time. So talk to me about SaaS UI. So you guys have a very interesting pricing model, which is a lifetime fee, right? You just buy it once for life.
Um, yeah. So how it works is you have um, a bootstrap license and a startup license, which you get the source code and access to the components and the starter kit, and you get 1 year of updates. So after this year, you keep the source code and you can do what you want, and you can, for a discount, you can continue getting updates. And next to that, I'm not doing that anymore at the moment, a lot, but there. So this was the biggest reason why I was profitable after such a short time. Is I had the membership where companies could pay starting at 2,000 euros per month and then get my services. So I could do custom built teams, build components for them, do a high level advisory work, these kind of things. And yeah, that was really cool to do, and also helped a lot with further development of my library.
I love that. Okay, so transitioning from SaaS UI back to WonderGraph. So your job now is to improve the developer experience of WonderGraph. And it's really, you've been given a really cool, to improve the SDK, to improve the open source.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to share with us some of the things that you have in mind? Because I know when you were talking with Alberto, you guys were excited, and I'm also excited. So what are some of the things you can share with us about what's going to improve the developer experience with WonderGraph so far? And by the way, downloads are up, so I don't know if you're doing something already, but people are like trying it out and they like it already.
I think what is really important for the change that I have in mind is make it easier for a community to contribute new stuff to WunderGraph, and so have a more organic way to grow the library, and at the same time allows us to build really specific enterprise features for larger companies. And yeah, the why DX is so important, I think, is yeah, you want, for me, I think it's about helping developers be successful and achieve their goal as soon as possible without any hurdles. And if you can do this, you will have a successful product. And yeah, that's is for DX, but also if you build a SaaS product, UX is very important as well. Like it's all about experience these days. So yeah, for me, it's also really important because yeah, I love to think about these things. I love interaction design, and I kind of apply these same principles to developing developers tools, I guess.
I love that. And so with WunderGraph, what is your favorite feature that you've built or added to WunderGraph or that you've contributed as one of our founding engineers?
My favorite feature.
Yeah, I mean, you did the view, the Svelte kit, you did all these integrations.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I built these integrations, and my idea was to, as well with this again, make it much easier to use WunderGraph with whatever framework you are already using. And so I started building integrations with SWR, yeah, query, and as it turned out, it's also made it easier for our community to start contributing. So then I started thinking, also, how can we extend this? And so I think my favorite feature is not ready yet, but will be our new integrations RFC that we talk about, and yeah, that's really my little pet project right now, I think.
I'm excited. So we'll be releasing details about that soon. So moving away from the tech stuff, it's kind of interesting. By definition, you are a builder. Eelco actually built this van that I saw recently when we were in, what was the name of the place? Near Eindhoven.
Eindhoven.
Yeah, Eindhoven. And it's amazing. So you just took a regular van and you completely modded out the back where you have, a bed, you have a fan. I think there was a kitchen, there was everything you needed, and you traveled around Europe. So tell me about that project. That to me is insane because in America, if you drive for 6 hours, you're in the same place. So it wouldn't make sense here.
Yeah. So while building Belco, I spent a lot of time in Asia, and I've been like a digital nomad for 8 years or so. But every time when I was back home in Netherlands, I had to sleep at my mom's place or find some other place, and it was kind of annoying. And then I just started thinking, how can I solve this problem? And then I thought, I'm just gonna build my own camper van. So when I'm home, I have a car and I have a place to sleep. And I wanted to do more stuff with my hands. So the Wiersma wagon.
I actually kind of like the name. It fits nicely. You should put it on the side.
Yeah, I actually don't have a name yet for my van. Like everybody seems to have a name for their camper van, but I don't know. Yeah, so I kind of how to say, kill two birds with one stone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to kill birds, but yeah, that's the expression. And so I started building, and this was kind of funny because just like building the startup, I thought, maybe 3-4 months I will be ready, but no. I spent every night for 9 months building it out, and there was really a lot of work. But hello, Scott.
Insane. I mean, it is like a startup. You think, oh no, it'll take a 2-3 week sprint, and it's like by week 8, you're just like, okay, never mind, I underestimated this.
Yeah, it's gonna take forever.
Which is an interesting thing. So as a developer, and this is a problem I deal with a lot with sales, which is, oh, we can build our own API gateway. Oh, we can build our own federation. Oh, why do you think developers think like that? And like, how would you, as a founder of a startup, how did you guys get around that hurdle that developers think that they can build it themselves?
Well, after building products for more than 10 years, I think you will kind of, I hope at least you will learn the hard way, and you start realizing certain things don't add business value and you shouldn't do it. But why we do it is, I think developers have a lot of curiosity and they really like solving problems, but they are also, at least I am stubborn, and I always think I can do something better than somebody else. So
A good point.
We have a lot of opinions, and if you see a tool and it has slightly different opinions, then it's really easy to start something else and build it your own way.
I like that. And then, so I have one question. What do you think of the word indie hacker? And then I'll tell you what I think about it after.
What I think of it?
Yeah, like what is an indie hacker?
An indie hacker is somebody that builds a product by himself and hacks. It's a generalist that hacks a product together. Like he hacks together marketing, design, development, and tries to build something by himself or maybe with another co-founder. But usually alone. Indie hacker is somebody who works alone, I think.
Interesting. I think that's the spot on definition, which I always wonder, which is, wouldn't it be easier if you had a founder or somebody to work with and then you bootstrapped it and you hired people? Like, but most indie hackers that I know, for example, there's 3 on Twitter, like Levels. There's another guy that are successful indie hackers. It's just them. And it's crazy. They make some insane revenue, but they never want to hire anybody else, which they could scale the company. What's the reason for that? Do you know?
If you build a simple enough product and you can delegate certain, they don't do everything alone, but they delegate a lot, I think, and they have some products that kind of generate, I would not say passive income, but the income just comes, and so they have funds to delegate stuff, and I assume they delegate as much as possible and just focus on building stuff.
I think Scott.
So. A big part can also be control, and that's also I can see in myself. I like to keep control, and it's difficult to delegate, especially development work, to other people because I think I can do better, or maybe I think they cannot. I don't know. There's different reasons.
This is true. Some folks do have trouble with that. Yes.
But if I don't know, if your product is not as complex as like a complete full all-in-one customer service application like I built by myself, it's manageable. This was not really manageable by one person, but I did it anyway. It was insane.
So fair point. And then with the word indie hacker, and this is all coming from Twitter, by the way, I see this word always with indie hackers, which is build in public. What does build in public mean to you?
You just share all details about how you grow a product along the way as you do it, like sharing insights you have, sharing a lot of people share revenue numbers because that attracts likes, and it's if you think about it, it's actually more a way to grow inside the indie hacker community than anything else. Like with my other products, we never were on social media or whatever. We just grew by B2B, doing classic B2B sales. Very boring, but it worked. So I don't know, there's like a really big indie hacker community, and maybe it's kind of like a bubble, and we sell stuff to each other, and maybe that's it.
I like that. And do you know the story behind the Indie Hacker website?
I think I know, but I can't recall it exactly. I've heard the story, but I forgot.
So it's actually interesting. So they built out the website, 2 guys, 2 indie hackers. They built it out. They sold it to a very large company. They exited, for life-changing money. The company completely plummeted that website, indie hackers themselves. And then I think either they hired them to build it back up with more equity in it, or they sold it back to the original indie hacker founders for a fire sale. And now Indie Hackers is back up to the top.
Yeah, they are back and running and being in control about their own product. That's pretty cool, I think.
I think it's a dream scenario. Imagine you sell a company, that they run it to the ground, and they give it back to you, and then you just take it back up. That's insane.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So back to building in public. I read an article the other day, which was like building in public is not a good idea because we have this problem actually, is that we have competitors that follow us. They copy our exact landing page, or they copy things that we talk about. What do you think about building in public and competition?
So, this is an interesting thing right now, because looking back, I always really worried a lot about competition, and it stressed me out. But in the end, it really didn't matter at all, because you have your customers and you're building and solving problems for your customers, and they don't have your customers. So you will always build something else that is really specific for the type of customers you have. So you don't need to care at all about competition. But now, these days, it becomes easier and easier and easier to build products. So as soon as people see, this idea creates revenue, you will see hordes of other people who build the same stuff. So it's actually becoming kind of a problem. And the only way to make money is to really build something more complicated, or something that is hard to copy, or I don't know. It's still about execution, but yeah, it's also becoming much easier to execute.
Totally agree. And while it is becoming more easier to execute, I also think it's getting noisier. So right now, for a great product to stand out, it's a lot harder because there's so much noise. There's so many open source
Sure.
repositories being added and everything. What are some ways in the early days of Eelco and then to Saas.ui, how did you stand out? What were some of the marketing channels that you hit?
So yeah, with my first company, we had advertisements. We didn't do social media. Some posts on LinkedIn, but not a lot. And we went to conferences about e-commerce. That's really worked for us. And yeah, just like I said, old school sales, B2B sales. So for my other product, Saas.ui, it's a completely different product. Like, it's a developer tool, right? So you have to be where developers are. And for me, the main channels were Google. So the name Saas.ui, people look for Saas.ui, and automatically you find me now. So that's been a really great choice. It's not really a creative name or something, but yeah, it works well for me. And Twitter, I Twitter and IndieHackers.com, but most from Twitter, actually. Yeah.
I like that. And I'm always fighting with other people because they're like, oh, you need to be more active on Twitter, but like it's a small circle, but it's actually a very large circle. A lot of tech people are on there, and it's bringing a great channel for, exposure for WunderGraph. So I like that.
I can see a direct link to revenue and how active I am.
Okay, very cool. And so then that's interesting. And then so I remember you told me this at the retreat. And we actually did this, which I'll share the story afterwards. So conferences are very expensive, and usually they're used for branding. Like you do it if you're a large company. You told me a story where you guys were a very small company, and you went and you had a very tiny, like booth, but somehow it was packed with people. You did some type of guerrilla marketing technique. What was it again that you did exactly, which made it people remember you guys?
Yeah, so every year we go to, well, that was the first time and the second time we did this, actually. But there's this big e-commerce fair in the Netherlands, and yeah, this is the place where we had to go, of course, because we had to talk with e-commerce entrepreneurs. And yeah, there were a couple of like settled competitors, and we were completely the underdog, and we didn't want to spend thousands of euros on a big booth and everything, and we didn't really see the value in it. We didn't have the money for it, and yeah, so we thought we gonna be, I don't know how we got the idea, but our branding is yellow, and so we just bought some really ugly yellow suits, and we rented a really small booth, like somewhere in the corner. And yeah, we just ran around in our yellow suits all day long on the fair and talked to people. And at the end of the day, everybody remembered us. And I don't think they talked about these other companies. Maybe, I don't know, but it was for us, it was a great success.
I love that. And WunderGraph actually had a story about that as well. So here in Miami, we have React Miami, and I wasn't a speaker or nothing. We just went there, but I wore a really ugly shirt, like one of the most ridiculous shirts you could ever find. I'm gonna post it later, and people naturally came up to me. They're like, "Your shirt is interesting," and I was like, "Thank you." And so like I think that weekend I got 150 followers on Twitter. I met a bunch of people that I needed to meet. and people knew about our product and our usages grow. So for me, I love guerrilla marketing techniques, and like the fact that you guys wore
Absolutely, yeah.
yellow suits to attract people in this big sea of large competitors. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
I see some questions from Scott. Let me quickly
Yeah, let me
read.
bring them up. So people naturally want to be a part of a community and develop relationships. Building in public allows for this too. Very true.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely make friends on Twitter, and there's really cool people on it. So definitely, it's all about developing relationships.
That's messed up, Scott. You don't remember what shirt I was wearing? I'm going to post a picture of it because it was actually, I don't even know why I have it. I call it my party shirt because it's just such an ugly shirt. And then another question from Scott, or comment. I think the pros of building in public far outweigh the potential cons.
For me, it definitely it still applies. Yeah.
And I agree. And so one of the hardest things when you're building an open source product and building just a product is building that community around it. And so you're very active in your Discord community, and then you're active in our community. And I heard the saying, it was from Jason last week, that if you have a bunch of people in your community and they're not interacting with each other, they're just talking about like WunderGraph, that's actually a cult. It's not a community. A community is a place where people hang out and they're talking about all sorts of things. So my question is, like, what are some of the hardest things you've seen when it comes to building a community?
I mean, it's the hardest thing. I honestly, I don't have the knowledge or the time to keep my community really going. Like it's by far not as active as WunderGraph. I think at WunderGraph we are doing a really good job. But as you have to be there. You have to talk to people. You have to keep the momentum going there. And at some point, when you are large enough, you have a community. People are vested and they like hanging around, and they know each other, and they will stick around. And then the community kind of keeps itself going. You don't need to do it anymore.
Yeah, Scott has a point. You have to create the culture.
Well,
It's a good point. It's a good point. And so I think you're spot on, Eelco. Like another guy told us, you have to be your own hype man. You have to be that annoying guy in that's all about whatever, because eventually people will start going in there. And interesting tip. So whenever I post something in the Discord or another community, I like my own comment because people will see that somebody already liked it. They don't know that I liked it.
click.
Yeah, and they'll follow along. So it's exactly what you're doing with building, a hype man. But okay, very cool. And so what's next? So you joined WunderGraph, you enjoy the mission, you enjoy everything. You're traveling around Europe. I think you're looking for a house now, right? Or you got a house?
Yeah, I've been looking for a while. I haven't found it. I made an offer last year, but I didn't get it. And I have really specific needs, and I don't know. It's very difficult because I'm kind of want to buy with my feeling and not with my rationale, and that's difficult.
Oof. If we bought with our feelings, I'd be under house arrest because I would owe so much to the house.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. And so talk to me, and you can attest to this because you've been on every single retreat. So what WunderGraph does differently is we're fully remote. You can work wherever you want. But every 3 to 4 months, we meet in person. And I think this is the most beneficial thing you can do as a company, because you get this thing which I call Zoom fatigue. After a while, you're just a person on Zoom. And there's actual studies that show that like when you're talking to somebody angrily in person is much different versus Zoom. And so you've been in the retreat with Mallorca, you've been the one in Austria, and now the one in, I forget the place, but we'll just say Holland. How have those affected you? And I know that one of them was the selling points, but like, what do you think of the retreats? Do you like that we do them?
Yeah, I've been working remote since my first internship with the university. I negotiated being able to work at home.
Smart.
And so I really love working at home. But I also feel like I definitely also need some socializing. And for me, actually, the last time I thought about it, the retreat was kind of a forced holiday with my friends in WunderGraph, and that was really cool, I think. So you definitely see very different energy when we are all together than every day on Zoom or in Slack, and it kind of really helps to align our noses. And even though the last time think it was really intense, it's good. So yeah, I love it.
You're right. So I think intense is better in person, and the retreats are super fun. You touched on an interesting point there, though. So you negotiated your first job ever to be remote.
Yeah, my internship. So I had to do. Um, I don't know, when I was 16 or something. We had to do our first internship as a developer, and I I found this internship where I had to build sort of like a management system for graveyards, and that was interesting. And yeah, I was able to work at home. I didn't have to go there to the office every day, and that was awesome. And later, the next internship on, I did the same thing. I built this open source CMS, and there was one company I found who wanted to use it, and I said, you can buy it for this amount, and I want to work at home, and they did it. So they bought it from me, and I was able to work at home, and that was just perfect. Yeah.
That's insane. Okay, so you're quite the negotiator in the early days. I like that. Yeah, I know. A management system for graveyards. I was
Yeah.
thinking that too. Are you managing the headstones? Like it's very specific. Like, but
I mean, it was a really long time ago, and my development skills were really bad. So we had to build maps of all the graves, and we need to record who is in there, who left in the, who not left in there, but who was in there in the past. And uh, yeah, the future goal of this, I actually, everybody told me to continue and build a company around it, but I wasn't ready to build a company back then. But yeah, I think they still use it actually. This one graveyard, and they yeah, they run their billing on this, and they move around people, and I don't know. Yeah, it was an interesting product to build.
I one point though. So like, who was in there? Like, would they swap people out of the graves? I was a
No,
bit.
at some point when people stop paying, or after 20 years, they need to clear the grave, and then it's sold again to another person.
That sounds like real estate.
Sounds like real estate. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. So now let's jump back into the tech. So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about your ideal tech stack, all the way from front end to back end to
Oh,
hosting.
this
You're
is
building a new project. What do
sensitive
you use?
topic at the moment.
Because of what's going on with Next.js?
I don't know. I have a. I starting to have a bit fatigue, tech fatigue again, and um, at this point, I'm starting to think I just want to build businesses and not think about the tech, to be honest. So that will be my ideal tech stack.
You sound like our ideal customer. Like there's so many tools you can use now that people are having an overload of where should I host, which front end to
Yeah,
use. That I love exactly what you said. But
yeah.
okay, cool.
So yeah, so for I don't know. Apparently, a lot of people have different opinions about me. Like I really think Tailwind is a terrible idea, and things like Chakra UI, which I use for Saas.ui, is much better DX wise for building interactive React apps. Um, I don't know. The Next.js is pushing React server components, which is massively confusing for a lot of less experienced people. And it seems like server side is the way to go in the future, but it really, for the types of applications I'm interested in building, I really don't need it. And I don't know, like, yeah, it's kind of all splintered right now. There are a lot of different opinions again. And sometimes I just wished I stuck with PHP and still build things with Laravel and keep things simple. Yeah.
It's so crazy. So when you say Tailwind is bad, you should always look behind you because people get so angry on that on Twitter. And then, but haven't you kind of noticing the ecosystem is kind of shifting back to PHP? Like I feel like we go into cycles. So I wasn't like I didn't get into tech in the PHP days. A lot of people that we worked with and people on our team, they've actually tried out PHP. I've never actually written PHP. But like I've looked at it and with Laravel and everything, and it seems like we're kind of going back into a circle. Like, is this a normal occurrence in tech to be I guess going back in circles.
I think it's a normal occurrence in life. Yeah,
that's true.
everything comes and goes. I don't know. Like PHP is still the most popular language in Netherlands, I think, and that hasn't really changed. And PHP is not going anywhere. Yeah.
Okay, I love that. And you shared an intimate moment with David, probably in the hot tub, about Tailwind. Is that what you guys were bitching about?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. So we have about 5 minutes left. I do have one more question. So, where are you traveling to this summer in your van?
Back to Spain. And
Where are you
so
right now?
I'm in Amsterdam.
Okay, so you're in Amsterdam, and then you're going to Spain.
I'm going to this summer to Malaga. Like
Okay.
they have this week of flamenco dancing and a very Andalusian party that I've never seen, and my girlfriend is part Andalusian, so that will be really cool to see, I think. And other than that, I want to go on a trip on my motorbike, camping trip, going off road in Spain for a week or so, maybe in September. And other than that, maybe some weekend trips to visit properties. That's it.
I love that. And so we didn't touch much on the motorbike. And so when you camp with the motorbike, do you put everything on the back, or like where do you bring the stuff?
Yeah, you have. I have duffel bags you can put on the back, and that's how you take your stuff along.
Insane. I'm not gonna lie, Eelco, you live a very interesting life.
Yeah, I like what I do, so I'm happy with all this stuff. That's great.
Brilliant. And so my last question before we wrap it up, and we'll see if David has any interesting questions. So WunderGraph is moving to this approach. We have WunderGraph Cloud. We have a very awesome solution, WunderGraph Cosmo, coming very soon. We already have people trying it out and using it, which is amazing. And the SDK is moving into this direction. I asked you where you see WunderGraph in the future. Where do you see WunderGraph in 6 months? Which features do you think would be added? Where do you see us developing in the ecosystem, and where do you see WunderGraph as a player?
This is a hard question.
I saved the best for last.
Yeah, look, I don't know. I personally, I feel like more of a sort of a headless solution is very valuable, and that also goes more in the direction that I wanted to build with my Apple's project. I really don't know, because I think in the coming few years change will speed up so fast we cannot even comprehend, and I hope with WunderGraph we are like selling the shovels for this movement, and but how that exactly look like we don't know yet. Like there's still different directions we can go into, I think.
I love that, and you're totally right. Last week with Jason, one thing he said about WunderGraph is a lot of people are looking to unbundle. We went from monolith to microservices, and we have everything bundled up, and now there's no way for all these microservices to talk to each other, because
that was a really good point. Yeah,
you want to bundle everything up together. And WunderGraph, in this sense, is the shovels. We bundle everything to all your microservices together. You speak one language to them, which I love. Now, with the introduction of AI, you're going to need shovels, which are APIs. You want to talk to all of them, which is where WunderGraph Agents is going to come in hand, WunderGraph Cosmos. So these next 6 months, Eelco, I hope you're ready, because things are going to be getting crazy. It's going
I
to
think so. It's going to be amazing.
Well, I love that. Okay, cool. So we're at time. If we see any other questions in the last minute, we'll post them up. But I know it's 6 p.m. where you are, right?
7.
7. Okay. I don't want to take up too much of your Friday night, but Eelco, thank you again so much.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Amazing episode. I know you said you're getting used to being on camera, but you're now. You're gonna start coming more often. This was great.
Yeah, I feel like talking with a beer and a friend. It's great. Thanks a lot.
I should go get a beer then. I'm missing it.
I will get them.
Love that. Well, Eelco, thank you again so much, and I'll see you Monday.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. Thank you, everybody. Bye, guys.
Ciao.